Hello, welcome to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on videogames.com. Hi, I'm Danny Dwyer, joined by Mike Mahardy and Peter Brown. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Great.
How are video games?
Great,
going pretty
apparently.
well.
Yeah?
Really good.
Do you have any time to do anything else in your life except play video games this weekend?
I make my own soap.
You made your own soap?
No, I thought we were joking. I don't make my own
Wait,
soap.
did you actually make your own soap?
No, I buy my own
Was that a
soap.
Fight Club reference?
Oh yeah, with lie and then he kisses his hand.
Wait,
That
it
would
wasn't a Fight Club reference?
No, it was just
That's what came out of your mouth.
that's what I was thinking about.
I make my own soap.
I realized you asked me a question, then kind of just train of thought leapt out of my mouth.
That's what it was?
Yep.
Wow, your psychologist probably has a great laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rorschach
All
test. Peter
four of my
Brown.
psychologists.
Yeah. What are you playing this weekend?
I'm about to start playing Afro Samurai 2.
Oh, wow.
Which came out today. I didn't know it was coming out today.
No.
No one told me. So we're
Because
gonna get on
he's a
that.
samurai. He's like in the shadows. And he's
Well,
like, bam! Release
Apparently-
date!
No, well, apparently you're not playing as the Afro Samurai himself. You're
Should have called it
playing-
something else then.
Well, I think it's in the subtitle.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
It's called Afro Samurai 2, The Other Guy.
Kuma's Revenge, I think.
Okay.
That might be it.
Do you play as Akuma?
You play as Kuma?
Akuma?
no.
From a popular fighting game?
No.
No? All right. That's a shame. Right. Well, I'm not gonna buy Afro Samurai 2 then. Are you reviewing it?
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
are?
gonna play it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You still haven't played The Witcher yet, though.
No. Give me time, man.
Throw you under the bus.
All right, good night, everybody.
I want to talk. Somebody else
There's
found
a
that
ghost
hilarious. I wonder
laughing in the
if that came across on video. That was terrifying. Chelsea's heard something really funny. I want to talk to you about all the games you've played because there are still a bunch of big games coming out in 2016. You think it's over, hasn't even started yet. Peter Brown, you're a reviews editor, so you're all too aware of what's coming up over the next 2 months. But just in case you weren't, I prepared a fancy list of some of the games that we should get excited about.
How about all the games we should get excited?
There's probably some people who are excited about WWE 2K16, which is not on this list. So I don't want to say it's a perfect list, but it's a list of some of the biggest, shall we say, games coming out over the next 2 months, starting this week. Actually, I'm not even sure if this counts. I'm not sure. This might be in that category. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is out this Friday. It said this week.
Not true.
It's not.
You're using outdated information.
When's it out?
The 29th.
29th.
You're seeing the 25th, and that's wrong. Yeah.
It got pushed back?
I don't know, but Randy was talking to me the other day, and he had the 25th. All I know is it's coming out the 29th.
Okay, cool. So next week. Excited about that at all?
I'm interested to see what they're going to do. Like if they're going to try to mimic the old style of gameplay completely, or introduce like new aspects to the game. That's going to really determine how I feel about it. Because I can go back and play old Tony Hawk games, right? So if they really want to get me excited, they've got to do something with it. But I would like a little bit of that classic flair.
It's interesting, and by the trailers, it looks like they're very much leaning into the multiplayer sort of party mode, create parks and then share them with your buddies kind of aspect of it. So it'll be interesting to see how much they lean into that. But then I guess the first sort of real big boxed game coming out, who would have thunk it? The first of two music playing games back with a band, Rock Band 4 out October 6th. Mike, you excited about that?
Yeah. I haven't played Rock Band since
College.
Rock Band 3. Was that the last one? College for me was very recently, so that would have been,
Like
what,
2
4
weeks
months
ago?
ago?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Fair
2
enough.
weeks ago. I have class in like 10 minutes, so let's hurry up. Yeah, I'm excited about this. I played both this and Guitar Hero Live at like preview events and whatnot. Rock Band's kind of new twist they're putting in the gameplay is like the RPG progression in the career mode, which seems interesting enough to, I'm just excited for these instrument-based rhythm games to come back, just to have an excuse to play them again.
Yeah, dust off the old drums. Of course, they've done a really good job, I think, of making sure that like old DLC and old peripherals work generally across the board for this.
That brings me to my question, though, for both of you guys. Like, we may be excited for this game, but are you excited to have a bunch of plastic instruments around your house again?
Like the guitars are pretty innocuous. Like you can kind of, you can store them away relatively easily. It's the drums that are a problem. And I've moved into a place that I'm on a second level, so there's somebody sleeping underneath
You're
me.
going to make friends real quick.
I know,
Don't play
so that's
drums.
like a massive problem because I used to always like having a couple of drinks in the evening and just kind of larping on the drums for a while. It probably won't go down. I have to put like a little bit of mats underneath them again. And of course, as you said, Guitar Hero Live coming out just 2 weeks later on October 20th. Any preference, Peter, between the two of them?
I'm not really big into these particular music games, mostly because I suck at them. Usually I don't like games that I suck at, but I think they're great. And I really like people who do enjoy these games, like play them, because they get really into it.
Yeah.
So sort of by proxy, I enjoy it. But I could go either way.
Cool. Folks in the chat and the comments, let us know which one of those you're most interested in. HD collections, of course, have been a big thing this year. Again, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection coming out October 9th, and not too far away. You excited about that one, Mike?
Yeah, I'm more excited. I haven't played the first one since like it released. I forget what year that was, but I mean, played 2 and everybody says 2 is the best. But I was always one of those weird people who enjoyed 3 more, so I want to go back and see if I was just drunk or like just being stupid.
You were drunk.
Well, actually, no. I would have been like, again, I don't know how old I was when those came out. But yeah, I always really enjoyed 3, but 2, I think, I didn't play through in one sitting. So I want to go back and see if it really is just as good as everyone says. Because, again, I haven't seen it firsthand in a long time. But I'm sure this is a good primer for, when 4 comes out.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. It's a good way to get ready again.
Not too many,
Next one.
and not too many exclusives for PS4 as well coming up for the rest of the year. So that's
Right.
at least one you can get if you're a PlayStation owner. Next up, October 23rd. It's that time of year again. Time to play a new Assassin's Creed game, Syndicate. I played it at an event a couple of months ago, and I was actually sort of surprisingly entertained by the sandbox nature of some of those levels they've done, and like the different sort of ways in which you can tackle them, sort of in that like fun emergent way that like Metal Gear Solid, the way you've got a base and you can sort of attack it in any way you want. Felt like Assassin's Creed games were very rigid for a long time, super boring, and like just too many missions that were tedious. But yeah, after playing that, I felt a little bit better about it. Have either of you played any Syndicate over the past couple of months?
No, but you've got me interested now, actually, because the things you're mentioning are gone, are problems I had with this series, which is kind of why I left it behind.
Yeah, and a problem they had with Watch Dogs as well. And like I've been very vocal about how irritated I've been with Assassin's Creed for a couple of years.
Sure.
So I'm kind of like, I'm really cautiously optimistic to see what our reviewer thinks about it when it comes along. Mike, you played it at all over the past couple of months?
Yeah, about a month ago, I played as Evie. So this is the first time that a woman is one of the leading characters, and
First on a console.
First on a console.
First on a
Yeah.
console, correct. Assassin's Creed Liberation also had forget her name, but yeah, she supposedly is the more stealth-minded of the two. You can see Jacob's kind of just mowing through
Jacking
people.
fools.
Yeah, and I think he's getting the majority of the story missions, but if you just want to explore, you can be Evie as much as you can, which will be cool because I've always when you have the choice, I've always gravitated towards stealth. And Metal Gear Solid 5, I've been doing the same thing. In Dishonored, I did the same thing. So I'd like to see if that carries over well and makes Syndicate interesting enough for me to get back into, because Black Flag I really liked, but I haven't been that interested in the franchise for a long time. And it's too bad because I really liked it for the first 5 entries.
Yeah. That's the problem they sort of had, was almost the problem that happened with Tomb Raider, where eventually whoever got in control of the game or got like mainstream, and then they just turned it into an action game when it was never an action game to begin with. Like Assassin's Creed used to be about spending a lot of time about killing one person, and then suddenly you were just mowing down dozens and dozens of folks.
Yeah.
On that same day, The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes coming out on that hot Nintendo Wii U. Peter, you excited about that?
I am excited. Like, Zelda is a series that just sort of warms my heart for the most part. I've liked pretty much every game in the series. And this one sort of falls into the same camp as Four Swords. So I played a little bit of E3. I enjoyed the aspect of you're putting on different outfits. It changes your character and changes your abilities, and the interplay within a team dynamic seems fun and interesting. It's not a mainline Zelda game, but that's okay.
Cool. Something for the Wii U as well, for owners of that, because unfortunately, of course, we've had a delay for Star Fox as well.
I think you mean something for the 3DS.
Oh, sorry, 3DS. All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Why
coming
do
out
you
for
hate Nintendo?
I know. I own a Wii U. I play my Wii. I like my Wii U. Mario Maker's great. Buy one this holiday? I don't know. WWE 2K16, as I said, is coming out October 25th, only 2 days after those games. But that's also the same day that Halo 5 Guardians comes out. Mike, you excited about that? You a big Halo fan?
Yeah, I am. This is actually the more excited I've been for a Halo in a while. There haven't been that many Halos, but 4 came out, 2012?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, the Master Chief Collection as a game is great. Obviously, it did not have a great launch, but now that it's all, for the most part, set, I really enjoyed playing through all those. I did those recently, and then I did Spartan Ops, that co-op mode in Halo 4 that bridges the campaigns between 4 and 5, story-wise. I just played Halo 5 campaign at a recent event. I can't talk about it yet, but I will have preview up tomorrow morning about the campaign. You get to play as Fireteam Osiris, which is Sergeant Jameson Locke. He's chasing down the Master Chief and Blue Team. If you're into Halo lore, they are Fred, Kelly, and Linda.
You know way more about this than I was assuming.
No,
when I
yeah,
asked
no.
the question.
I've read a lot of the books, and I don't know why. You don't usually get into lore. I just think it's pretty interesting sci-fi a lot of times, a lot of the novels and whatnot. But essentially, it's the first game you're playing, the very first Halo. You think you're the last Spartan, but it turns out you're not. A bunch survived from Halo Reach the battle, and it's really interesting because you play as 4 different Spartans on both teams, and you're kind of chasing down the Chief, and it's calling into question whether he's really a good person and a hero.
Okay.
Which is interesting to me because he's always been painted as this, he's bombastic and he's bold and everything, and he's always just blowing up ships in outer space, but he's kind of been boring up until Halo 4. Him and his relationship with
Maybe he's a
Cortana.
tool of an evil.
Yeah, and then there's
Force.
Something
Cypher?
Yes. There you go. Guess we'll find out
bridging
when
the gap.
Halo 5 Guardians comes out on the 25th. One thing I want to ask both of you guys, November 3rd, do either of you have the need? Peter, do you have the need?
I like racing games. Like I'm a casual racing
Whoa,
game
whoa.
fan. What?
What do you think I'm talking about here?
Need for Speed.
Yeah, Need for Speed's coming out. You got the need, Mike?
Don't think so.
Do you have the need? No subtitle.
I'll check it out.
Need for Speed.
Just Need for Speed.
We're resetting this game franchise. And
Yeah.
Peter's excited about it. He's got the need.
I'm interested. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Like that series began a long time ago on PC, and I loved it. And over the years, I've just become so jaded with what they've been doing. Like I love the hot pursuit stuff. That was fun. Since then, I've just I don't really see where it fits in the landscape of racing games. Like, why do I really want to play this over, say The Crew, which I didn't love, but I still enjoyed.
Forza
the more
6 came
simulation
out.
stuff. Yeah, I mean that looks wonderful. Like Gran Turismo, I actually really like Gran Turismo. I know it's got a lot of problems, but there's something about those problems that are endearing to me. So I just don't. Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious. Like I'm probably going to play a little bit of it.
This has the full motion videos, right?
Yeah, that stuff's pretty cool.
The
That looks
guy
pretty great.
from this is a movie a lot of people probably have not seen.
Go for it.
Green Street Hooligans.
Nope.
Made up.
Oh
It's
yeah,
about
wait.
soccer
Wait,
firms.
yeah, it's the West
pretty
Ham
much-
versus Millwall thing.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a guy in it. His name is Bauer, I think, and he's in
Jack
Need for
Bauer.
Speed.
Yep. That's the
Yeah,
one.
Jack Bauer, and then he voices
AKA
Snake. Yeah, who also is going to be in the full motion videos for Need for. No, I'm just kidding.
That's weird.
That's completely.
Well,
not true.
when I moved to London, I was living there 3 days, and I was overlooking the West Ham. It was like about half a mile away the stadium, and there was a fire, and it was because Millwall fans had set a car on fire. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. So that's a Need for Speed. Actually, the one thing I like about Need for Speed, or the one thing that's really interesting in me, is the entire game gets played over the course of one night.
Yeah.
All those FMVs happen
Oh,
in
that's,
one night.
That's right. Yeah, there's
One
no
endless
daylight
night.
in this game.
No daylight. Yep.
I remember hearing that and thinking, what? Yeah, we were at
Love it.
Gamescom when he told me that.
last
and
year.
that blew my mind.
I'm really into it. A couple of days after that, November 6th, Call of Duty time, Black Ops 3. Call of Duty fans, either of you?
I like the campaigns. I think they're fun.
You
I
excited
don't really
for
care
Black
the
Ops 3?
multiplayer. A little bit. Yeah. Not dying for it, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, the Treyarch campaigns always kind of deliver. As far as the first Black Ops was pretty refreshing. It was
Yeah, definitely.
that psychological stuff, and then the JFK conspiracy theories. And we played a lot of Black Ops 3, the beta on PS4 and Xbox One. Eric Tay and Chris Waters had gotten a lot into it. Rob Handlery had perfected that glitch ability because the multiplayer they have those the specialist classes now that you can kind of do these super abilities like you might in Destiny.
Yeah, they're doing an Overwatch
Right.
or an every FPS coming out next year.
Yeah,
I guess.
Battleborn.
It's the way of things.
Battle Cry.
So excited about the multiplayer. Peter, you excited about the single player stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like a strong enough package. I guess we'll know soon enough for Call of Duty fans. November 6th, that comes out 4 days before maybe the biggest day of the video game year.
Need for Speed.
So many games coming out that one day. So many games coming out that one day, but the one everyone wants to talk about right off the bat, Rodea the Sky Ranger coming out for Wii U and 3DS.
Yuji Naka is a genius. I'm gonna leave it at
Finally
that.
making its way to North America.
You know what's crazy is the Wii U version of that game comes packaged with a Wii version of the game that isn't a port. It's a totally different reimagining of the game.
What?
Yeah, it's like 2 games in 1.
He's reimagining a game that just released the same
Well,
day.
no, the Wii one was finished like a long time ago, and then they came back and they finished the Wii U version after. It's not just like upgraded visuals. Like they've changed certain aspects of the gameplay and like. I know.
I didn't expect you to know this much about Rodea.
This is Peter.
November
Yuji
10th.
Naka's a genius.
Get your pre-orders in. Make sure that November 10th you're not the one waiting in line. Do you have it? Do you have her date? No, we're sold out. Damn it. If that does happen, there are a couple other games coming out that day. Fallout 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void.
Never heard of them.
Let's start with Fallout 4 first of all. My goodness. If I wasn't working in video games, I'd be taking a month off. This is this is going to be so much fun. Peter, are you excited for the fourth Fallout game?
I am. It's been a long time since I played Fallout 3, but I really like that. And I'm really excited to see that some of the id Soft guys have contributed to the shooting aspect of this game, which we all know now is like way better than 3.
Yes.
The VAT system is no longer a crutch for that broken shooty bang bang stuff. So no, yeah, I'm really excited. And as someone who really enjoyed Metal Gear and the way that its open world functioned, I know it's very different from the way Fallout 4's works, but I'm very curious to see how it impresses me, because I'm sure it will, and I'm sure that'll also change, you know, my opinion a bit on what was great or maybe not so great about Metal Gear, and that's always really fun, I think, is having your thoughts and opinions challenged and learning new stuff, and I think Fallout 4 is a great opportunity for all of that.
Yeah, I've dived back into Fallout 3, and I was doing a bunch of like stuff I hadn't done before, like creating new weapons and using the whatever the sheets, schematics you get. And then I was looking back at the trailers for Fallout 4, and like you can build your own weapons out of like anything you want. Like there's going to be so much depth to this. Really exciting, and it's been 5 years since New Vegas, so that's a lot of. It's going to feel like a much more different Fallout game, hopefully.
Yeah.
Mike, you take either one of these, Tomb Raider or StarCraft. Which one would you like to talk about?
Damn it. I really, I'm a big StarCraft fan, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think that's one of those games I'll be playing throughout the next year,
right?
Or two. And Rise of the Tomb Raider, I'm really excited for. It doesn't fall as high on my priority list as Fallout 4, but both StarCraft and Rise of the Tomb Raider both look great. Rise of the Tomb Raider, I'm excited to see where they take Lara now, because obviously the first Tomb Raider reboot, 2013, was awesome. I liked it a lot, and I think they did a great job of characterizing her as more than just this action hero.
My worry is that the gameplay trailer they put out shows her, again, just like straight up murdering dozens of people, which just seems like as fun as the last Tomb Raider was, it just, like I played that game trying not to kill people because it just seemed like A, kind of too easy, and B, just not in the spirit of Tomb Raider. Like it didn't feel like she's just ridiculously OP for some, she's not even wearing armor, it's kind of crazy at some stages.
And also in the last Tomb Raider, it was just it's like a band of pirates from what I remember, but now these guys look like some Metal Gear military force.
Yeah, mercenaries. So I guess we'll find out. Looking forward to that one, of course, coming out, all that Xbox One exclusivity nonsense on November 10th. StarCraft 2 as well. Interesting to think that this is this is the end of their trilogy, which started again 5 years ago. And it's crazy to think that the StarCraft 2 community is a completely different beast to what it was 5 years ago to what it was 4 years ago, like even 2 years ago. Like at this stage, it's almost like they're releasing a game for a community that's moved on to different competitive games. And, I'm mostly looking forward to playing it so I can enjoy the single player stuff. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the reception is for that. Of course, that's coming out around the time of BlizzCon as well. So maybe there'll be a bit more excitement around it come November time. November 26th. We're not done yet. Trackmania Turbo is coming out.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes.
Any Trackmania fans here?
No.
Not really.
I played it on VR. Did you do the VR thing?
Why would I?
It's like the one game you should never play in VR.
Exactly.
Because it's like, oh my god, this is amazing, but it's impossible to turn. It's like a discipline. And, VR is like you put on the headset and it's all about like moving around the space and moving your head.
Never done it.
Trackmania is like a discipline in keeping your head as like tight as possible, because you're like driving into corners and it's all about like these little twitch driving controls. So if you turn a little bit, like you're done and dusted.
It's just one of those experiences not meant for VR.
No.
And I don't understand why people try to shoehorn it in there.
Because it's dumb.
In case they need a crutch.
Perfect.
In case they need a crutch.
No.
No?
It's a great game. I love Trackmania.
Cool. No,
Looking forward to Turbo.
very well could be a great game, but VR for that, no.
Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe if that's what Morpheus ends up being, just a weird like additive modes to other games, then I'm not so sure. But I love it. Aesthetic looks cool. There's this crazy double driver mode where both of you are driving the car at the same time.
So it's like driver's ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, except both of you are driving, not one of you at a time, which is pretty good. Look,
No, wait, you didn't have the person in the car that had like the brakes they could apply at any moment?
dude, Ireland, I drove in Ireland for like 2 years at a real license. It's a whole different world. Don't even worry about it. November 26th for Trackmania Turbo. December 1st, 2 more bangers coming out. Let's start first of all with the other Avalanche open world game, Just Cause 3. You weren't a massive fan of Mad Max. Decent enough game. More excited for Just Cause 3?
Yeah, like I think there was a few things in Mad Max that were wonderful. Just didn't capitalize on those. What I've played of Just Cause, the things that are really great are the things you're doing moment to moment all the time. Like moving, blowing stuff up, getting from one spot to another, like gliding through the air. Like all of those feel really good, and I really liked all of that. So I'm much more optimistic for this. And Mad Max doesn't. Look at, you're standing underneath a helicopter.
Yeah.
What, like
Magnet boots.
Mad Max hasn't, dissuaded me from Avalanche as a whole. It was made by a different team, like countries apart, anyway. But yeah, this game just looks fantastic. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hitting December 1st, the same day as Rainbow Six Siege. We played a lot of it here in the office. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff coming up this week, I think, about Rainbow Six Siege as well. I'm not sure how much we can talk about, so I'm not going to talk about any of it. But come back to GameSpot.com for that. Are you guys excited about it at all? It seems like sort of hype around this has sort of waned off a little bit because they've been doing so many betas.
I
And
just feel
alphas.
like they've been making like spin-offs to Rainbow Six forever. When are they going to come out with Rainbow 7?
God.
The door's that way.
You're making my puns look good. I want Ding Chavez back. You can't have a Rainbow
Yeah.
Six game without some hot Ding
And
Chavez.
Antonio Maldini, he was my number 2.
Oh, really?
No one knows who he is, but
Antonio Maldini?
He was also in
I
Green
do
Street
remember.
Hooligans.
I do remember.
Yeah,
Maldini.
he was Italian, I think. Well,
With a name like
sounds like
Maldini, I hope so.
Yeah.
Nah.
Or is it imposter?
He was the explosive specialist, I think,
Yeah.
from Rainbow Six Rogue Spear, which
Yeah.
was the first one I ever played.
That was
and
great.
Since then, I've gotten into him.
Yeah.
But
Rogue
bring it-
Spear was a game that successfully anticipated an actual war. The
Oh,
Russian
yeah?
invasion of
Balkans.
Georgia.
Oh,
Big-
shit.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that literally happened 4 years later. There's a level when you're like in Tbilisi, like shooting tanks, and then there was like footage of it happening a couple of years later.
That Tom Clancy.
yeah,
'cause the intro-
Clancy.
Clancy.
the intro to Rogue Spear was an actual. They were trying to do one of those news montages.
Yes.
And it was startlingly realistic for someone like of my age at that
yeah.
time, or art when we were first
I
playing.
got
That
it
was a
for
while
Christmas
ago.
one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all that stuff started happening.
Yeah.
And
There's like all this shit because the dudes fall real realistically and stuff.
it's like watching Black Mirror, and then
And
all
then
this
the
stuff
Prime
happens.
Minister puts his gentleman's junk in a pig's mouth. Yeah. Anyway, none of that is in Rainbow Six Siege, but that's coming out December 1st if you're interested. And then the last game that's coming out this year. What a year! 2015 for video games. Let's finish it off with just a cherry on top. The US release of Devil's Third coming December 11th.
You had to go with that Wii U game?
Woo!
What about Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Yeah, I guess that's coming out too.
Oh, you peen.
So, Xenoblade Chronicles, great. Devil's Third, though.
Garbage.
A hot 3 out of 10 to begin with?
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Released in Europe. Look at this. Look at that. Whoa, he just disappeared. European players have been, quote unquote, enjoying this for the past 6 months or so. It's out in Japan as well, of course. But yeah, the US release coming December 11th. So make sure you save all those GameStop vouchers you get for Christmas so you can pick this bad boy up in the new year. And that's all the games coming out. Before we finish, Mike Mahardy, pick one. Favorite game, most anticipated game coming out between now and Jesus time 2015.
Fallout 4.
All right. Peter Brown.
Fallout 4.
That's a 3.
I hate to be lame. It's kind of a tie between Fallout and Xenoblade Chronicles. Like,
Yeah. And Devil's Third.
one, I know what I'm getting myself into. The other one, I'm like, what is inside of this massive game? So we'll see. Which one am I
But-
talking about? You don't know.
But also, close second is Bloodborne's expansion.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious about Battlefront, just because I have some. I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out, because I've been hearing good things. I've been hearing things that make me hesitate, but we'll see.
Yeah, bunch of great games coming out this year. Many we talked about now, many we didn't, so let us know in the comments what your favorite game is coming out between now and December 31st, and also what you think is going to be Game of the Year 2015, because it is a absolutely crazy year for video games.
Oh, yeah.
Rocket League.
Who knows?
We'll see about that. Let us know in the comments. All right, we're going to be back in a second. We've got to talk about Konami in a little bit. We've also got an exclusive trailer for Guild Wars coming up. We're going to ask Mike about his review of Destiny the Taken King. But first of all, here's a trailer for some hot new Batman Arkham Knight DLC. Let's check it out.
Peggy 18.
You were doing so well.
Snap Cat Lady's going to be in there. Whoopsh. Every
They missed it.
Very good.
The camera missed
No, the camera didn't see you whipping your nutsack. That's pretty good though. Congratulations. Every week here on The Lobby, we spend a lot of time on a Tuesday morning in a meeting deciding what trailers to play in between the various segments. This week got a great one coming up actually, right after this bit, which you stick around for, which is a trailer for the new Guild Wars 2 expansion. But we only had one extra slot to pick this week, and we went with Batman Arkham Knight. But there was another one which we didn't play, which was for Dragon Age Inquisition. But we were looking at it. It was sort of a toss-up. But the reason we ended up not going for it is because, as you will see in a second, it starts off with a kind of a sting saying these are Game of the Year 2014, like various awards it gets, right? Check this out. Right, first one up, IGN. Then we got GameGuru.ru.
It's pronounced Guru.
3D Juegos, and then we just got past it. We'll get it this time, Josh. Here you go. Here we go. GameSpot.
Lowercase s, no.com also wasn't our game of the year.
Yeah, and if you can see the PC Games Reader's Choice, it was our readers.
GameSpot again, up top.
Where? GameSpot? Where?
There's next to financial.
Oh, they
Post.
intercapped it this time.
Oh, they did. It's intercapped up there.
But still not the game of the year.
No.
But you know
also,
what? You know what they probably did is did it win one of our platform games
no,
of the year? Oh, Jesus.
It won our People's Choice Game of the Year, which isn't even part of our Game of the Year awards.
Come on,
it's
marketing
like we do
team.
it afterwards. But according to that, we gave it Game of the Year twice.
That's almost as good as that review for the Tom Hardy movie, where it's all 4 stars except for the Guardian, but they put the 2 stars in between the characters' faces.
Yeah.
So in the grid of 4 stars, it looked like a 4 star. It was genius.
So we love Dragon Age Inquisition here. It was actually nominated, I think, on every single award.
Dude, it was a really hard.
really good game.
It was a really hard debate between that and Mordor.
And Mordor, yeah, it was down to the two of them.
Yeah.
And then Mordor ended up pipping it. Yeah, but we just thought, because Josh was like, yeah, Josh's problem was that they put GameSpot after 3D Juegos and the Russian side. He was like, they did IGN, and then these two, and then us, and then I was like, I don't think it won Game of the Year either. So there you go. Anyway, Dragon Age Inquisition. I guess we kind of did its marketing for it anyway, but just for clarification, not our Game of the Year twice over.
No.
Gentlemen, it's been an interesting couple of weeks for Konami. They put out 2 games. They put out Metal Gear Solid, The Phantom Pain, 10 out of 10 on GameSpot.com. They put out Pro Evolution Soccer 2016, 9 out of 10 on GameSpot.com.
Yes.
I've been playing it over the weekend, enjoying it quite a lot. Still prefer FIFA, but it's really, really good. But obviously there was a report came out last week saying that sort of what we'd all feared was that Konami were pulling out of AAA development, apart from Pro Evolution, which is a sort of a easy bank. It makes a lot of money for them, in, specifically in Japan and Europe, mainland Europe, a lot of. Peter, I guess, first of all, there's since been another report saying that this isn't the case, but that's from like a customer service rep or something?
Somebody put in a support ticket to Konami's customer support line saying, are you guys no longer making AAA console games? And the response was, of course we are. We're still making Castlevania, Metal Gear, like Pez. Like, I would not put much credence behind this support ticket response because one, that's no sort of official answer. 2, that person may not even be at the company. Like, they could just be a hired third party who
Yeah.
like has like a blanket slate of things to say and is just like, yeah. So
Yeah, the line they said was, "I can promise you that we're definitely not leaving Metal Gear behind or anything like that. I know some blogs were claiming that online this morning, but I'm not really sure where they'd be getting that information from. Like, I don't know, 2 years of looking at Konami. We're definitely still working on console games and franchises such as
Yep.
Metal Gear, not Metal Gear Solid. They're going to bring back the MSX games. Silent Hill, Castlevania, Pez, and all the rest.
okay, so that's 4 they named, and all the rest, let's assume that's 3.
No, it's Silent Scope and Bomberman Act Zero and Dance Dance Revolution.
And you have Goemon in there, and you have other Hudson properties, whatever. Anyway, the point is that where the hell are they making these games?
Yeah.
Because they have like 2 different studios now, and they were working with, they had a third party that I can't remember the name right now. They were working on the Castlevania games. They've shut down. They're no longer doing that. David Cox, the guy who was the head of Castlevania, left. The person who was in charge of Silent Hill and Metal Gear is bound to leave any day now.
Yeah.
I mean, who is making these games? Where are they getting made? And why the hell should we believe that they're being made for consoles? There's no evidence to support it. And if there's not an official statement, like, these are the games, these are where they're being made, these are the consoles, like, we can only really logically assume that these are not happening.
So there was a quote, I can't remember who exactly it was somebody tied to Konami, one of the executives, earlier this week as well, that was basically them saying, oh no, we're going to use these properties, but we're not going to use them in the traditional way. We're going to have mobile games for them. We're going to go in a different direction towards where, especially the Japanese market is focused at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said this is our main platform now. But then he said if it makes sense down the road, we'll continue making games for consoles. But that doesn't mean anything.
Isn't that like incredibly worrying, Mike? Because Konami have, it would be one thing if they stopped making games, but the idea that they're going to be sort of almost like Disney not releasing DVDs, like they've got this massive chest of IPs that people love, but they're going to be presumably releasing mobile games and maybe pachinko machines about them, but not actual real console games.
Yeah, because just last year I remember thinking, wow, Konami's got a lot of good stuff coming out. They had just, PT had come out, and then they had said, oh, this is actually going to be Silent Hills, and then you're really excited about that, and then they're bringing on Guillermo del Toro, and they're going to have Norman Reedus, if that matters too much, but every time I kept thinking to myself, this is going to be awesome, like the Phantom Pain's coming out next year, Ground Zeroes was great. It turned out that's not going to happen. There was the Silent Hills controversy, and then all the Kojima stuff started happening, and you kind of realize a lot of these were just maybe not initially false promises, but they developed into that, and then it kind of just became, I feel like they were just kind of in a condescending way saying, yeah, we're still having all this coming out, but I just didn't see any evidence to support that, which sucks.
Like, isn't that weird? Because it is kind of a hard swing, Peter, when you think about what Mike was saying last year. Like, there was a lot of stuff happening. There were new franchises being announced. It seems kind of like in 6 months they decided, oh no, actually we're going to completely pull out of console development entirely.
Well, they have completely shifted the people at the head of the company. And that sort of came, like, I love Metal Gear Solid 5. I respect a lot of what Hideo Kojima does. I think the sentiment online is probably accurate when people say that he, spent so much time and money making this game that he probably doomed the chance for Konami to make console games in the future, specifically when you're trying to compete with something like this. Like, how are they going to match this game?
Yeah.
Like, what game can they release that will stand up to this? This game had astronomical budget, like huge ideas. It was in development for 5 or 6 years, which is not unusual these days.
The sequel to a long-standing, beloved franchise
Right,
as well.
so it had that packed into it. And so when you look at mobile development, right, they can spend just hypothetically, 3 months making a game. It catches on in Japan because that is where the biggest fan base is. People are used to spending money on microtransactions. They're going to make money hand over fist. Why would they want to support a team that is so large, with a project that's so ambitious that it could fall apart? So, I think it makes sense for Konami to do this. And while I will miss the presence of these series, like on shelves and hearing news online and stuff, I don't think Hideo Kojima is going to stop making games. So if you're a fan of his work, you're going to be able to look forward to stuff. How can you not keep going? But also, I think people need to wake up and stop demanding that we get another Metal Gear or another Castlevania. I think it's up to creative people that if they want to support these franchises, or at least the ideas and themes they represent, to take the source material, use it as inspiration, build something new from it, and move on. Like, we can't keep living in the past. I mean, I love old games. I love old series. Like, they're really important to me. But at the same time, we need new things. And just because they don't carry the same title doesn't mean a new game can't, reflect the things that are wonderful about games like this from Konami.
Yeah, look at what Iga's doing with Bloodstained. It's very much going to be a spiritual predecessor to Castlevania. For all intents and purposes, it sounds like it's a Castlevania game without the name.
Absolutely.
Mighty
And
Number
that's-
9, same thing with Itagaki.
Yeah.
Although the quality of that will...
Inafune.
Inafune, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, it's interesting to see, Iga went to Kickstarter, like not assuming anything with Kojima, but what's to stop him from doing the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't necessarily want those creators to do what they have always done. I actually, I'm glad to get that game from Iga now, but I'd be interested to see what he does next. And the same with Inafune. Like, I think Recore is a really good example of him. I mean, it's still taking the mechanic of, augmentations, like opening up new doors and abilities, and that's great. But it's still a very new universe, and it's a new style of gameplay. I want to see Hideo Kojima do something different. That was, I think, the promise of Silent Hills, was that this is a totally turn of direction for him, and that's wonderful. So I would like to see new talent tackle new series. Mercury Steam is the name of the company. They did really well by Castlevania, I think. It wasn't the old games we loved, but it was a really interesting take that emphasized things about those games that hadn't been utilized before, like the world, the music. Like, these things were presented so well.
You could say the same thing about Revengeance as well.
Absolutely, I love Revengeance, and people, get upset because, oh, well, it's not a real Metal Gear game, but it's like, okay, but it's still a wonderful game. Like, you're looking at it through a lens that isn't necessarily, the same for everybody. It's very subjective. So yeah, I would like to see these talents do new things, and maybe creators spin off stuff that we loved from the past.
Last question on this. I remember a couple of years ago when the success of mobile games was really kicking off. Like Angry Birds is making money hand over fist. It was before a lot of the free-to-play stuff came into the market. But a lot of gamers, especially online, especially on message boards and stuff, talking about how, mobile games are going to be like death knell for consoles, or like this is a dangerous thing, or like being aggressive towards mobile gaming. What we're having here, though, is we have a company like Konami, who is like an old name within video games, who is essentially leaving console directions because of the carrot on the stick that mobile games is. Is that something we should be worried about looking forward?
Well, I think there's going to be a lull. Like, we're going to hit a valley where we see the big name companies not investing as much in console games, but there's a demand for big console games. That's not necessarily going away in the United States and in Europe. And in Japan, things are changing, but in a lot of the Western gaming markets, that's still up and it's on the rise. So I think even if it's not Konami, we're going to see other companies do it, but we still have plenty of old companies making great games. There's a lot of them happen to be Japanese, at least that come to mind, like Capcom and Square Enix. Those guys are still doing some really impressive work in some areas. So I think console gaming will be fine. Mobile gaming will have an impact on it, but it's not going to be, I don't think, a death knell for console gaming or PC gaming, as it were.
Hope not. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for coming on, talking about that. Let us know what you think about the sad demise of Konami, at least in the console space. Are you sad? Will you be happy for Kojima to do something new? Let us know in the comments below. All right, we got one more section coming up in a second. But first of all, Guild Wars 2. This is a game we gave a 9 out of 10 to back in
2013?
12? I think it's 3 years old now. The expansion pack, though, first expansion pack, Heart of Thorns, is coming out later this month, October 23rd, actually, super soon. In about a month from now. We've got an exclusive trailer to show off right now. It's got a bunch of information about Nolan North, Troy Baker, Jennifer Hale, and all the voice actors on the game. This is a pretty cool looking trailer, so let's check it out.
It's not often that you get a chance to stay with the character for as long as we have with these characters. We started in 2009, so we're going almost 6 years that we've been working on this for one game.
The stories became more important, so therefore they needed actors to come in and actually bring life to those characters that they've worked so hard to create.
Become part of me and endure, or fall forever into oblivion.
I love the Sylvari naivete that has evolved over the course of the games.
I've lived with this character for a long time now, and I love what she stands for.
But humanity's resolve will never waver. We have withstood every challenge thrown at us, because unity is our strength.
I think the goal of any story is, especially when it's a long-running thing, is for it to evolve and for it to change and for it to grow. You shouldn't see the same person all the way throughout, especially over 6 years. You need to see a different side of them. But around that, circumstances always change characters, and conflict reveals character. So as we've seen different conflicts happen, you're going to see different characters.
The thing that appeals to me about Air is she has had a complicated life, which makes her a complex character. While she is very strong and very capable and very mighty, as an actress, the part that I'm most attached to are the poignant moments with her.
There's nothing better inside of the gaming community than speculation and people that can be vehement and passionate about their reasons and cite examples of why they're right and you're wrong. So there's this long-running, much-debated thing as far as when Logan decided to leave. Did he do it of his own accord, or was it something that Jenna did to him? And there's people on both sides of the fence that, have strong cases for either side. And I could speculate. I could tell you what I think, but it's my secret.
I think what Logan did was a combination of the two. I think Queen Jenna, had a little bit of a hand, but Logan did as well. I think it was both of them. That's what I'm going to say.
There's so much to me that's revealed about character and the impact of the story through the people that play it, because they get to take away different things.
It's been amazing to be here from the beginning all the way up to the huge announcement in January, and to be there with all the fans. This community's incredible. It's like a level above. It's amazing. It's a wonderful community, and I'm just really excited for launch. I can't wait to see everybody's experience of this thing, because it's gorgeous. What you guys are putting together is just stunning.
He's a good boy.
Hey, what's up? Destiny, the Taken King. It's out. We talked about it a bit last week, but we couldn't talk about all of it because the raid hadn't been unlocked. But it has now, right? Mike Mahardy?
Yep.
You played it?
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
A lot of Destiny.
Yeah.
It was good, though. The raid especially is really a highlight of the expansion. It's definitely the longest. The boss at the end, who a lot of people might know who it is, but I don't know if that would be a spoiler to say who it is.
Don't say it then.
I won't.
It's the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Oh, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Keep
Everybody
going.
knows it's not Mike. But yeah, no, the raid's really great. There are these, the interspersed mini bosses, and when I say mini, I use that term flexibly because they're pretty. I think one has something like 16 million health or something.
Oh wow.
Which is just as much as it sounds, but
Is it as difficult as when you played other raids in Destiny first time?
yes,
Is it?
it's I'd say more so.
Okay.
There's a lot of first-person platforming, which I didn't like. Which I guess if you pull out your heavy sword, it wouldn't be first person, so I have to try that to see if that works. But anyway, I don't know. It starts cool. You're near the Court of Oryx. For people who have been playing it, they know it's like that public area where you're fighting boss waves, which is one of the highlights of the expansions as well. But this, I think, is Eric Tay's footage. I really hope we see him fall off, because he fell off. But at the time, he was making fun of me for something I had just done, and then he fell off. And he's listening right now.
There's a lot of platforming
awesome.
stuff. I saw Andy playing a part where the floors appear in front of you as you're trying to get around.
Yeah, you use your ghost, and then it highlights. It's kind of like that leap of faith in Indiana
Yeah.
Jones' Last Crusade. Instead of salt, you have
Cup of a
futuristic
Carpenter.
one.
Great, Destiny. So you've played the raid. Obviously, we talked last week sort of before the review's out. So you've reviewed the Taken King now. What score did it get?
8.
8 out of 10.
Yep.
Tell us what's good about it. I got a bunch of questions here from GameSpot viewers. But first of all, what is your take on the Taken King?
Sure. So I liked it a lot. As someone who played a lot of Destiny Year 1, or Destiny Vanilla, you might say, with the 2 expansions, House of Wolves and Dark Below, I played a lot of it, but I wasn't always having fun because a lot of the late game stuff is repetitive, and the story itself didn't have much weight, didn't lend much context to what I was doing, which I lend a lot of credence to that in a lot of games. I think if they can kind of create this narrative and structure the campaign in a way that I feel momentum carrying me forward, I think that lends a lot to the missions themselves. And also, a lot of the bosses were bullet sponges, and all you were doing was shooting, going back into cover, reloading, pulling out your rocket launcher, shooting, going back, reloading.
Yeah, that's why I found so much of the action so tedious.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing the same thing.
Felt empty, kind
Yeah.
of. It was really promising to see these gorgeous worlds before the game came out and everything. You're like, oh, we can go to Mars after it's been settled for a while. We can go to Earth after it's been destroyed by this. Well, not the Traveler comes, and then the darkness follows it and destroys Earth and everything, the solar system in general, and it'll be cool to do all that. But the worlds weren't as fun to explore as I was hoping. But with the Taken King, the Dreadnought, it's a ship in the rings of Saturn. An intro cutscene shows it, coming up against the Awoken, fighting it. That's the race of kind of alien-human hybrid.
And it's like more interesting area, more stuff to do. Like, in what way is it more entertaining?
There are more things to just find if you're exploring. There's a lot of chests. There are these chests that it says you need these specific keys to get, and you don't know how to do it. This is the Court of Oryx I just mentioned before. It's probably one of the more fun things to do in the expansion. You put in these runes, and we had up to 7 people at once, like fighting these bosses. And there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Obviously, higher tier, the harder they are. Here's another part that's just coming.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of Solid Andy.
Last Crusade kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just overall, it feels, I think it's like on par with the size of Earth and everything. This is
Of actual Earth?
Yeah.
It seems like the sort of Destiny they should have launched with, where it's more fleshed out, there's more cutscenes, it's more like sort of rounded, instead of it being like a bunch of, for me it seemed like a bunch of like templated combat instances that were sort of ramshackled together in various different ways. A lot of repetition and stuff like that. Whereas from your review, it seems like there's a lot more variety, a lot more like depth to each thing.
Sure, yeah, there's 8 strikes. If you're playing on PlayStation, there's 1 extra, but the bosses themselves are awesome, in my opinion. I think that, contrary to what I was saying before, they still take a lot of damage, but in between that, you're doing more. One of my favorites was called the Restorative Mind, and it's this Vex enemy, and he's invulnerable for a while. Right here, you can see it, and you essentially have to coordinate with your teammates to get this relic and then bring it over to another kind of entry point, so he will lower his shield and go to fix it. And in that time, you start blowing up. But he's also got this force field. It's kind of, the arena itself is like a donut shape, so he's rotating this force field, kind of dictating where you go. So you could think you're behind cover, and then all of a sudden you just feel something pushing you to where he's shooting, and it sucks, but at the same time, you're like, I could have avoided that if I thought ahead. And then he's spawning these enemies the whole time, and the entire time you're kind of just yelling back and forth to each other, like, oh, I'll cloak you, you go grab it, and then you distract him, run over here.
That's cool, like combat variety within that boss fight.
Instead of just picking a spot, each person to pop from behind cover, shoot him, then go reload.
Then filling that sponge full of bullets. I got a bunch of questions from folks. I'm going to get through them pretty quick. Nick Buster asks, as a player fresh off the boat, does the old content from Vanilla Destiny and the first 2 DLCs become redundant?
Yeah, so as an expansion on its own, Taken King's great. It transforms a lot of what I didn't like about Destiny, but you will, if you're starting from level 1, say, and you're going up to get the Taken King, you do have a Spark of Light. It's this item you get from the Postmaster that you can just use, pop, and you'll instantly beat the level 25, ready for the Taken King, and with a little bit better gear to be prepared for that. So I did that with one of my characters, see how it went, and that was fine, but playing from level 1, just I was curious how the quest log would fit into it now that they redid all the user interface stuff. You do still have to go through that old stuff. I mean, it's a better organization, the quest log, Is
the XP faster, perhaps? Like, is the level progression faster at all?
It's still the same speed, but once you hit 20, it doesn't stop, obviously. You can keep going to 40 now, which that was refreshing, because, you get to probably, like, Venus, which is pretty later on in the story, and you might not hit 20 by the end of the story. I think you could, but it won't be as repetitive once you hit that. So it's definitely worth getting back into Destiny now, I think, if you were either hesitating or if you kind of were put off by it for a while, which I was as well. So it's a good time to get back into it, because it not only has more endgame content to supplement, the grind later on, which it doesn't become a grind until like 15 hours in the Taken King, but it does help a little bit with the earlier game stuff, which I didn't love.
Cool. Bit of a slog, though, if you're starting off like directly from the start.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Martin Shepard asks, feeling on the elimination of the player base that didn't buy all the DLC, they can't do a lot of things they could do before. So this was a big Reddit thread I remember last week. There's a bunch of content that they were, like folks who haven't bought the Taken King, had access to, which they're kind of being frozen out of now. What do you think of all that aspect of it?
Yeah, because so from what I understand, so when the House of Wolves came out, there were these public events, instances where you would hunt these wolf captains, and that would be a big part of playing into the quests of the House of Wolves, and then that got wiped later. That pretty much just became obsolete because the Taken King was coming out.
Right.
And also a lot of the strikes, which are pretty essential, like the strike playlist, the longer you stay in it, the better chance at good gear you have. So these strikes themselves are Taken King strikes, though. So I'm not sure if Bungie, we have reached out to ask if they're going to try to rectify that in the future if you don't buy the Taken King, because the pricing model is still confusing to me. You can get all of them for $60 now if you haven't bought any of them. Is that true? But Taken King on its own is $40.
Yeah, they've definitely, like, if you now want to buy everything, it's not like WoW where you need to basically buy everything. They have subsidized it heavily for new people.
Yeah, so I hope that's not the case. I hope they do something to rectify that, because then the case would be if you're trying to do all these strikes for better gear, which they're pretty essential, then you won't be able to unless you have Taken King. So I'm hoping that they'll introduce a way for the older players, because you could still do those specific strikes from vanilla Destiny, but that won't be the strike playlist, so you won't have as good a chance at better gear because you won't get that streak going. So
The strike streak.
The
strike streak, yeah.
The strike streak.
Great contribution, Peter.
So I'm here.
We'll get to you in a second.
Oh.
Megan Maestro asks, this is B-Boy actually, how close to the MMO floor plan should Bungie adhere to? Will expansions like this be enough for 10 years? Is it starting to feel like it's straining a little bit, or does it? Would you be happy getting a Taken King or 2 Taken Kings every year and spending $40 on them all?
Taken King seems like it was doing more to revamp Destiny as a platform, which, that's what Bungie originally set out to do. In addition to making a game, they just wanted to do something that they could update throughout the years.
With paid DLC.
Yeah, 10 years seems like it would be a stretch. I know is that like something they've...
Well, that Destiny 2 is probably what they're going to come out with next year.
I think it will be a strain after a while. I think Taken King is promising because it seems fresh to me. It's the first expansion I really liked. I played Dark Below and House of Wolves just out of obligation not out of obligation, I wanted to play them because you could get better stuff, and it was just, I was interested to see how Destiny was morphing between expansions.
Yes.
But Taken King was definitely the most drastic. I don't think they're going to do something as drastic with each one. Maybe there will be a Destiny 3.0 that they'll, kind of shape depending on feedback from year 2.
Yeah.
Now that the patch is out in Taken King, I don't see it being substantial enough to last 10 years, but...
Let me ask the next question then. Coffee Jesus, great name, asks, where do you think Destiny goes from here? More planets and raids, or another curveball entirely? Like, as a Destiny fan, like looking towards, like, they have this deal with Activision that's going to go for at least another 8 years of them creating this franchise, whether they have like a new boxed game where it all hits reset again, or whether they keep adding new packs to Destiny. What is it do you want Destiny to be in like a year, 18 months, 2 years?
Yeah, like I don't see them doing another major update for at least another year. I know like the best part about Taken King was all based on feedback, so I think we'd have to wait and see. From my perspective, I would very much, like them to keep, it'd be great to keep going back to explore planets. It's just a bummer you have to pay every single time you want to see that, but I mean, the game is substantial on its own now. I know Mercury is in the PvP maps, and we all kind of have suspicions that might be the next thing they work on.
Mercury is rising.
Yep.
Can you see yourself playing this game in 6 months if there isn't another piece of DLC? Because the
If
one
there
thing,
is,
and
or-
it's if there isn't, because like there will obviously, but like the one like massive criticism I have of this game is that I think it's been completely purposefully designed so that you have to keep buying DLC because the amount of content that's there just isn't good enough. It's not entertaining enough, and like people are getting bored, so they're like, oh, we have to make another piece of DLC, and people will pay for it because they've invested all this time. So like, if they hadn't released another $40 DLC, let's say in like April of next year, would you keep playing Destiny?
No.
Like, is it a game that's based entirely on these massive updates that they're charging for?
Yeah, I think so very much. The thing separating, like, just not to put too much weight on the score, but like I debated like what score to give it, and the thing that kept it from being higher than an 8 was after about 15, 16 hours, once you get into the grind, which I don't mind grinding if I feel like it's worth it. But like you said, it was kind of boring. You were taking out the same walker tanks that you've been shooting at since the first strike ever of Destiny. Yeah. It's nothing substantial enough. It's not a foundation for this. There's a foundation for growth in terms of expansion, but not for just anything emergent that comes out of it from enjoying it on its own. If they weren't to release expansion, I can't see myself playing it in 6 months consistently like I am now.
It's interesting. The Destiny we have now is different to what it was. Obviously, a year ago, we originally reviewed it 6 out of 10. Like, who knows? In 12 months' time, they might add so much incredible, interesting content that it does have that sort of super longevity without having the supplemental packs. Last question on this, Peter, as somebody who enjoys lots of games, online shooters, first-person shooters, what is your take on Destiny? You don't play it, right, much at all?
I've started to play it casually, and to be fair, I don't play a lot of multiplayer shooters. I like first-person shooters and third-person shooters if it's the right game with the right mix of themes and action, whatever. Anyway, that said, Destiny reminds me a lot of Phantasy Star Online, which is a game that I loved that was very short on content, and it was all about the hunt for loot. And I see everyone around the office playing, and that is sort of the primary driving force. And I can appreciate that, right? Because it's that sort of like reward mentality that makes you feel good, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm playing it casually to sort of get into it before I completely miss the boat. And because it reminds me of a game I used to love, and because Sega will not release Phantasy Star Online 2 in North America, I'm forced to play Destiny. But I think the art direction is wonderful. I do like the shooting, like the action feels good, and I sort of hit even early on some boredom with the original version. So I'm going to go through the grind and earn my levels and not use the light spark. But I'm looking forward to actually getting into the Taken King stuff because everyone sounds really positive about it, to an extent. So given all my other curiosities, I'm curious to see where the series goes.
It's cool, and I'm happy for the Destiny fans as well. They seem to have gotten the expansion pack that they have earned and deserve after so much time playing as well. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. Destiny, the Taken King, have you been playing since day one? Have you picked up the Taken King? What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And that's a show, folks.
That was a show.
That's a show. Peter Brown, Mike Mahardy, thank you so much for coming on. What are you doing for the rest of your week, Peter? What's going on?
Afro Samurai 2 today. I might try to playing Undertale.
Undertale?
Undertale.
I don't know Undertale.
It just came out a couple days ago. A lot of people are chatting about it because it's sort of an old school style RPG where it's not like all the tropes and cliches we know and love. Like it's very different, and that makes it interesting. Like you go to a town, normally in the past, it'd be like, you need to go talk to the mayor. Austin Walker tweeted out this photo last night. This town has no mayor. Like you talk to a guy, they're like, yeah, there's no one running this town. Like it's just things like that. It flips stuff on its head, and it's getting a lot of praise. So I'm gonna play that and maybe even have a review for it next week.
Sweet. Mike, what are you doing that you can talk about that's not under embargo?
Bouncing back and forth between the Rainbow Six Siege beta.
Oh yeah.
And playing Civilization Beyond Earth to get ready for the Rising Tide expansion, which is early October.
Yes, and Firaxicon is on the week after next. I feel.
Kind of.
Is that right, Josh? Next week?
Between now and the expansion
so
is for XCOM.
10 days away. Yes, we'll have some XCOM 2 stuff maybe there. We'll have some Sid Meier's stuff. We'll have to see. We're going to be exclusively streaming that on GameSpot.com. So if you're a big fan of Sid Meier and all his cronies, Jake Solomon et al., make sure you tune back to GameSpot. That sounds cool. Right, I've got that Tony Hawk episode of The Point going up this week. I want to do GameSpot plays about Unreal Tournaments pre-alpha though, because it's so good. And playing it makes me feel like I'm so old because it's basically the same one. I was like playing Facing Worlds in Instagame and going, oh my God, this looks amazing. And then after an hour being like, yeah, but it's Facing Worlds in Instagame. I could be playing the 99 version of this and it would be almost the exact same.
I heard you kind of like screaming and laughing from your desk Friday, and I assumed you were playing, I don't know, Metal Gear again
Project
or something.
Cars
I
or
come
something,
over
yeah.
and you're playing, Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, and that's the situation in which I feel like the asshole for being so critical of Destiny, because I'm literally playing an HD remake of a game that came out 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and like losing my mind in the office. But I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. We can't have what we love. So maybe a GameSpot plays of that later in the week. We shall see. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, of course, every week, for sending in your questions, for Ask the Reviewer, for chatting and for putting in the comments. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone in the back for producing today's show. Josh Shaw, Eric Tay, Dan Mahork, and the folks. We'll be very happy to get Mary Kish back next week because it's been a small team running this show. We need her back. Come back for Tokyo, Mary. Thanks so much to everyone for watching. We'll be back next week right here on The Lobby. 2 p.m. Pacific, same time. But if you're bored between then and now, make sure you go to GameSpot.com for all the latest reviews, news, and previews on video games. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye-bye.